Gloria in excelsis Deo. Et in terra pax hominibus, bone voluntatis, laudamus Te, benedicimus Te, adoramus Te, glorificamus Te, gratias agibus Tibi, propter magnam gloriam
This dream became a reality when Most Reverend Casimiro Ledoc, D.D., was named the first bishop of the Diocese of Bacolod in June 23, 1933. But it was only after World War II that the dream saw fulfillment when the first seminary community was formed in 1946. Due to the lack of diocesan clergy that time, the seminary formation was given to the care of the Vincentian Fathers, with Father Prudencio Mayoral, CM, as the first rector. The Sacred Heart Shrine, built earlier in 1936, was also entrusted to the seminary fathers, hence the name Sacred Heart Seminary. Because the seminary was still under construction, the pioneer batch of 14 young seminarians were housed at the old cathedral convent. From then on, the seminary grew not only in population but in its physical structures. The seminary training formation during this period was basically tridentine, following a monastic model characterized by a regimented discipline, archaic studies in the languages, arts, and philosophy. The seminary was a self-enclosed structure with its own superior life and culture that had very little contact with the outside world. An otherworldly spirituality was emphasized, making the seminarians be in the world without being of the world. Upon the succession of Most Reverend Manuel P. Yap, D.D., on March 16, 1952, another wing was built to form a letter U as the seminary now stands. He also started constructing a separate building for classrooms, though with this untimely death, this dream was left unfinished. It was during this time that, without applying for government recognition, the seminary opened a complete secondary and philosophical education. Another significant development was the turning over of the seminary's administration from the Vincentian Fathers to the diocesan clergy. Father Felipe Humauas was the first rector from the diocesan clergy. Stronger winds of change blew with the shifts and renewal called upon by the First Diocesan Synod on March 14 to 18 in 1960. And in 1962 to 1965, the Second Vatican Council called for a more mature response of faith, working for justice in the midst of great social inequality became a constitutive element of the church mission, hence of preaching the gospel and of seminary formation. The seminarians cross-enrolled at La Consolacion College, Bacolod, then at the University of Negros Occidental, Recoletos. There were those who enrolled at La Salle College on an experimental basis. Since then, formation is no longer limited to the four walls of the seminary. A period of restless transition and search characterized the diocese during the episcopacy of the Most Reverend Antonio Y. Fortich, D.D., the first local priest to become Bishop of Bacolod in January 13, 1967. Widespread poverty and escalating insurgency impelled the bishop to declare Negros as a social volcano that challenged the local church to take a clear stance, a preferential option for the poor. Consequently, the seminary also became more attuned to social realities. Seminarians started to participate in advocacy work, rallies and mass mobilizations against the Marcos dictatorship. Freedom formation with its four aspects of prayer, study, work and silence became the main focus of seminary life. In 1976, the high school department or minor seminary was phased out, leaving the present structure. a college seminary with a preparatory year before the philosophy formation. The social condition debated when Most Reverend Camilo Di Gregorio, Didi, became the 4th Bishop of Bacolod in May 20, 1989. Starting his episcopacy on the Bible year, he called upon the whole diocese, including the seminary, to strengthen and grow back to its roots in the Catholic faith. Alongside this development came the physical improvements of the seminary, the construction of the seminary chapel and adoration chapel, as well as the renovation of its buildings and later of the cultural center. Bishop Vicente M. Navarra was appointed on May 24, 2001 and installed as the 5th Bishop of the diocese on July 19, 2001. The seminary adapted the earthen vessel paradigm with human, spiritual, intellectual, pastoral, and community life as its model of formation, based on Pope John Paul II's post-synodal apostolic exhortation Pastores Dabo Vobis. To assist in the internalization process, several exposure and immersion programs were integrated into the seminary curriculum. Efforts are being done to provide a more personalized accompaniment through regular small group processes, pastoral counseling, and spiritual direction. To help support seminary needs and its various formation programs, the Sacred Heart Seminary-Bacolod Foundation was put up in 2001, and an association of lay people called Friends of the Sacred Heart Seminary was also organized in 2004. Both have greatly contributed to the improvement of the administration and formation programs of the seminary. On September 8, 2001, the seminary community formulated its basic identity and core values that reflect its 5 areas of development: to be a soulful pilgrim, a brother's keeper, a leaven of communion, a protagonist of change, and a man for all seasons. This formation program was also re-emphasized by the Second Diocesan Synod of Bacolod, which was held on October 4, 2004 to January 20, 2005, explicitly calling for renewal in the Church. With the opening of the School of Philosophy in the year 2007, the same inspiration of its founding fathers finds its way anew in another expression of a leap of faith among those to whom the seminary has been entrusted. After more than 60 years of existence, priests, seminarians, and lay people have come and gone. The changes in the physical structures and the kind of formation have assumed many forms. Yet amidst all of these changes, the spirituality that is inspired by the Sacred Heart of Jesus has kept its enduring influence. Now, as we celebrate the 75 years of the Diocese of Bacolod, we remember God's gift to His people in Negros, for the harvest of vocations has never been wanting. These are the vocations that have been ripened by the seasons, the fruits of the harvest, which have finally offered themselves back to the Church as a fitting oblation and tribute to their alma mater in the service of the community. The countless stories of lives that have been touched along the way by the seminary are living testaments to this fruition that has been promised to those who are faithful and steadfast. From the initial 14 seminarians way back in 1946, the seminary has blossomed into a bustling community which has continued the same initial spark of inspiration of producing priests formed in the likeness of Christ to serve the local church of Bacolod.
Magkapagkaisang loob sa